Hello. Today I'm planting out some brassicas. Now I've already got one bed of brassicas and this is a second bed. So I've got a black kale and there's some red kale, but I don't think I'll be putting that under netting today. This is tough as old boots, so that will probably just go into the main part of the garden. There are some, I think these are Savoy cabbages, and I'm saying I think, but their leaves are nice and crinkly and they're starting to very much look like Savoy, so I want to get some Savoy in today. And here's a Savoy that I potted on, so you can see the difference between, well, maybe I can do a bigger one, but even the difference between that nice big one and this one is that this one has had more soil to grow into. And then there's this, which I think is Calabrese. And you'll hear me saying I think because against all my own advice, the other thing that's really important before you start is to have some plant labels. So don't forget to label your tray. So start of the year, I'm really good about labelling all the seeds that are going into trays and into small pots, and also the ones that I direct sow into the garden. When I make a label, I like to say what the plant is and a variety if I know one, and also the date. I forgot to label all of these. However, this tiny tray of plants I didn't forget to label. These are purple sprouting broccoli, and so I'll be putting some of those under the cover. And down by the greenhouse I've also got some Brussels sprouts, and so I'll bring those up and make sure I put 2 in this end as well. So it's time to get planting. This bed is around 100 centimetres wide, and I'm going to stagger the plants, so there'll be one there, one there, one there and one there. Means I can comfortably get 2 rows of plants in here. And this is Bentley, who's just come through to visit. Hello, darling. So I'm going to have one there, and so I'm going to put one here. I might have to weed a little bit as I go. Before you plant your lovely brassicas in the bed under netting, make sure you check all the leaves on both sides for any signs of caterpillars or caterpillar eggs. Now I suspect there are caterpillars on this one because there are tiny holes, and indeed there's a caterpillar there, and you can remove it just very gently by rubbing it. I don't really like killing caterpillars because there are so few butterflies in the world, but one of the things I do is to plant sacrifice plants. So some of these will go out into the garden specifically for butterflies to be able to lay their eggs on and feed on, and I just have them as decorative plants and to support the wildlife. From a distance, these caterpillars are really quite hard to see, but when you look at the ribs of leaves, you can then spot little green caterpillars. But the ones I'm growing in the tunnel for food, I very much want not to have caterpillars on them. So here I can see the leaf is, it's discoloured, it's getting slightly puckered, and around it there are an awful lot of tiny insects. Now they could be caterpillars, those could have been some sort of white fly. However, I've actually removed the leaf because there were so many of them. I want to make sure they're not on the plant. So, and I will continue looking, because where there was one, there is likely to be more than one. And I'm looking for pinprick holes in the leaves, which is usually a pretty good sign that there is a caterpillar there. Just have to remember those caterpillars are very often the same colour as the leaf, and so you're looking for a little shape rather than a really obvious caterpillar. Because really what you don't want to do is put your plant lovingly under netting and then trap the caterpillars inside where birds can't get at them to eat them, and to do natural pest control. All you're doing is giving them a luxury palace to live in, and to eat all of your plants. There we go. I think that one's clear now. Now I'm digging much deeper than the plant is. I'm removing the bottom 2 leaves because it's going to go in like that, so that the growing tip is pretty much just below the existing surface level. Here we go, and you can see the roots are just starting to go round in a circle, so I'm going to gently tease those out a tiny bit. I don't want to break them too much because they're still quite young. There we go. Another new thing for me this year is I'm adding in some bloodfish and bone meal to the soil. I haven't given this any compost or fed the soil at all in the last 18 months, I would guess. And it's had some pretty hungry plants in here. It's had potatoes in here. So I don't usually use a fertiliser of any kind, but this year I think this soil is probably pretty hungry, and I'd also quite like to have a bumper crop of brassicas this year. So in it's gone, and I didn't just put it in the bottom of the hole. I put a little bit in the hole and mixed it into the soil. And then I've also put it on the soil around the edge, because now I'm going to be tipping that in. And a little bit, I want the roots to go out and still find nutrients a bit further out. Oh, some weeds. So when I'm planting brassicas, I like to firm them in. They really do like to be firmed. So this is firming around them. So I'm not pressing onto the fragile stem, I'm pressing the soil around them. And they really do like firm planting. I remember Jeff Hampton all those years ago when I first started watching television about gardening. He used to say, firm them in. Firm them once, firm them twice, and when you think you've firmed them well enough, firm them once again. And so that's what I've done for the last 45 years or so that I've been gardening, and it's done well for me. So you can see I'm just putting in a layer of soil at a time and then pressing it down. I don't hurry this process. I really try not to hurry planting brassicas. It's quite a pleasurable experience. I quite like to listen to the bird song, although this morning that seems to be mostly crows and magpies. And now you can see it's created a bit of a bowl shape, so that when I water, the water will collect here and go down and water the roots rather than just running off. And occasionally I will actually bank it up around the edges like this, and because this garden is on a slope, I tend to only do this bottom side here, so that the water doesn't run away down the hill. In theory my beds are level, but that doesn't mean they actually are. There we go. So that's my first one. I give them a space of I take my lovely trowel here and I kind of go two of these, 1, 2, and then maybe half. So whatever that trowel measurement is, which is, my guess would be about 8 inches, so 8, 16, maybe 20 to 24 inches apart, which gives them plenty of space for growing. And it's the other reason I don't plant them right close to the edge, because these leaves are going to get huge and they're going to push against the netting if I plant them right close. In fact, they will push against the netting from here. So there's been netting on here all through the summer to reduce the chances of having cabbage white butterfly and cabbage moth land on the brassicas and lay their eggs on them. And it's also helped to reduce the chances of the local pigeons coming and eating the brassicas. But I can always come and take off any leaves that are pushing against the netting to reduce the chances of butterflies being able to lay their eggs through the netting onto the leaves. And don't forget to water each plant in really well and then cover with netting immediately. Are your cabbages and kale full of holes? Today I'm going to look at how to protect your brassicas without using chemicals.